What up, guys? GangstaPranksta to bring you some more weekly wrestling review. The worst, you know, weekly wrestling show on the internet. Maybe not the worst, definitely the most behind. Pretty much a month behind, but I'm happy to say that I'm pretty much back on track. It took a while to get this one out, but the next video is just a regular show, so I should be able to get through that real quickly. But yeah, so until then, we are like a month behind. So in this episode, we're going to be reviewing Payback, uh, Ring of Honor's Best in the World, Raw, Smackdown, Impact, NXT, what else? And Smack, Raw, I don't even know, whatever. Let's get down to the nitty gritty because there is a lot to talk about actually. And of course, some wrestling news, the big stories that happened within those weeks. So first, Payback. It's crazy because like Money in the Bank just happened, and I'm reviewing Payback. Oh my god, I feel so shitty. But anyways, Payback. Payback was a pretty good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. Um, really nothing terrible to say about it. Like there was nothing just bad on the pay-per-view. There's things that could have been better. I'll talk about that in a second. So it starts out with Curtis Axel, Wade Barrett, and Miz in a three-way for the IC title. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was a good, solid match. It made me like proud. Like the IC title has always been one of my favorite titles in WWE. And the past couple years, I think everyone can agree that the title has just kind of been like there, and it really hasn't had any importance. And like when I was watching this match, I'm like, wow, these guys are kind of, making this title seem more. You know what I'm saying? Like the IC title, a couple years, not even a couple years ago, I'd say 10, 15 years ago, even longer actually, probably 20. Um, the IC title was given to people who were like, they WWE wanted them to be top stars, but they didn't want to put them in the main event yet, or like, that kind of situation. And like just watching these three guys, three guys that are going to be with this company for a long time, guys that will be in the main event eventually, and just having a good match and just I don't know, it really like made me appreciate the IC title a lot more. I'm like, wow, this is a good IC title match. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I don't know if you get it. I don't know, but it makes sense to me. So yeah. Anyways, it was a good match. Curtis Axel wins and is the new IC champion. Cool ending. It's pretty. Uh, it was unique, kind of. You had Miz in the figure four leg lock with Barrett. And Curtis Axel, sneaks in, pins Barrett while he's down. 1, 2, 3. New champion. Really good. One thing I want to talk about as well is Paul Heyman and like the inclusion of a manager into a situation. And just like Paul Heyman is just like living proof that managers can still do well and are needed in in wrestling. Like he did a great job with. If we go down everybody, he did a great job with Lesnar. Did a good job with Punk. Even though Punk didn't need a manager, he was there for them, and it worked out well. And now, like with him with Curtis Axel, I think it's just a perfect pairing. And it's funny, Curtis Axel was this guy who hasn't been used in like years, and then out of nowhere, he's beating Triple H, he's beating Cena, he just won the IC title, he's in a little program with CM Punk right now, or The Miz, but they had that little primetime player thing with Punk, and they made him seem like, made him a star, and it's absolutely with the help of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman did his job, he got Curtis Axel over. Curtis Axel looks like a star, and I think like that, he did a good job. He did his job. Made Axel a fucking top guy. Well, not a top guy, but like cemented his spot in WWE. And WWE was doing a good job with this, like with Zeb Coulter, and then they kind of chilled out because Jack Swagger had all those legal issues. But what I'd like to see WWE do more is the inclusion of managers. I really think they could add to someone like Michael McGillicuddy, who, or not Michael, goddamn, I still call him Michael McGillicuddy, Curtis Axel, a guy who they're not doing anything with, like put him with the manager, let the manager do its job and take care of all the heat and put the heat on the wrestler and use that to build him up. And I'd love to see more managers in WWE. Honestly, I don't know if they'd be as good as Paul Heyman, but I don't know, like a guy like Truth Martini. He's doing a good job with Matt Taven and their whole thing with the Hoopla Hotties. So I don't know. It's like Paul Heyman. I gotta give him his applause because he really makes me want to see more managers in pro wrestling, and that's something that there's a lack of, which hopefully WWE can produce more of. So yeah, that's that. Anyways, continuing with Payback. Sorry, just two things I want to talk about. Next we got Caitlyn versus AJ in a Divas title match. It was a pretty good match. It went on a little bit longer than I would have liked. Like if they went like 7, it seemed like they went on forever. And they kind of dragged on a little bit, but it was pretty good. AJ wins and is the new Divas champion. That was cool. And then the segments that they've done after, like on the Raw and SmackDown after, where AJ came out in like the whole bodysuit trying to mimic Caitlyn, and I thought that was cool. And then you had Caitlyn mimic AJ. I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place, like talking about shit that after Payback and all this stuff, but I'm not gonna go too in depth with the Raw and SmackDowns. I'm just gonna pick out stuff that I want to talk about and was memorable. And I like the whole AJ and Caitlyn feud. It's been a while since like the Divas have been like spotlighted like this. Like can you really remember the last time the Divas have had like a significant storyline? Because I can't. Like with the exception of like Trish and Lita, there's hasn't really been like a story, like a storied rivalry between two Divas in a while. So I think that's cool that they're doing this between them two. Friends and other foes and blah blah blah, all this stuff. That's cool. Next we got Kane versus Dean Ambrose for the U.S. title. Pretty good match. Ambrose wins. He won by countout. Nothing much to say about this match. One of the things that was very exciting about this pay-per-view was the announcement of RVD coming back to WWE, making his return at Money in the Bank. One thing I want to talk about these Money in the Bank matches. Now, I have not watched Money in the Bank pay-per-view, but the matches are fucking terrible. Like, you stack one, which is the All-Star Money in the Bank, and then you have the other one, which is, Teddy Long said is the future Money in the Bank stars, or the future of the company, all in one match. And I'm like, it's terrible. Like, the Money in the Bank matches should have been, you should have had like Sheamus, Sando, Cody Rhodes, Dean Ambrose, and Christian in one. And then you have like Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Kane, RVD, Chris Jericho, like the whole, I don't know what they're doing with Money in the Bank, but I'll talk about this later actually, so we'll save that. Next, you got Del Rio versus Ziggler for the world title. This is a pretty good match. Del Rio wins and is the new world champion. They did a great job of pretty much turning Del Rio heel and Ziggler face, with Del Rio pretty much beating on the head of Ziggler to win the world title, and just turning heel on everybody. And Ziggler as a face is actually pretty good. Like, I'm like, wow, he's a good face. I like him as a heel, but he's a good face. And Del Rio, he's a terrible face. Should always been a heel, but I'm liking Ziggler as a face like a lot. I really like him a lot now. Not that I didn't like him before. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like him as a face, but I really do like him as a face. Next, you got Chris Jericho taking on the Wolverine. That's a typo. I mean CM Punk. Holy shit! What is with those mutton chops, bro? Oh my god! I thought he did look like Wolverine. Like, the thing with Punk and Jericho does the same thing. Whenever they come back, or something drastic happens, they like to take a new look. Like, you had Punk when he first debuted. He had the long hair and the little he had fluff on his face, and then shaved the head, and then he had a more slicked back hair look. He grew out the beard a little bit. When he was in the straight edge side, he had a long beard, and now he's pretty much shaved head, and now he's got these he looks like Wolverine. I think he looks so goofy. I can't take him seriously. I wish he'd shave it off. Other than that, anyways, they had a really good match. Punk won. One thing I would have liked for this match was, you know, for Jericho to come out, and then the way they did on the show was Jericho came out and then Punk came out right away. What I would have liked to seen some build up, like, oh shit, did Punk actually come? You know, I know it's in Chicago, it's his hometown, but you know, is he actually here? You know, let his entrance music go out for a minute. He doesn't show up, and then he finally shows up. I know it's something like very minuscule to like complain about, but I think it would have added to the match. Like, oh shit, he is here, not just, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I think it would have added a little bit. But anyways, they had a really good match. These two, Punk can have great matches with pretty much anybody. I mean, you know, with Punk, or not Punk, with Cena, with Jericho, just you put him in the ring, magic is gonna happen. And you know, he's had good matches with Jericho in the past, WrestleMania. No other match of theirs stands out to me. Like probably at some other pay-per-view, but you know, the WrestleMania match is what I think of when you know they had good matches. And yeah, I really love Punk. The fact that he can have a good match with anybody. Next, you have the Shield versus Daniel Bryan and Orton, or RK No, which is a clever little tag team name. For the tag team titles, good match. The Shield wins. Nothing much to say about this. It was just a standard tag team match. And the main event, Cena versus Ryback, WWE title, and the 3 stages of Hell match. Of course, we had the lumberjack match, then the table match, then the ambulance match. How could I forget about that? It was a good match. I thought the whole pacing of the thing was kind of weird. Like, the way they had it was they had Cena win the lumberjack match. Or no, Ryback won the lumberjack match. Cena won the table match. And then Cena won the ambulance match. What I would have liked to seen in the match, and I'm complaining about the match and everything. I think it would have been better if you have Cena win in the lumberjack match. Have Ryback have him roll him up in the lumberjack match or some shit like that. Have pretty much Ryback just flip out and just beat the shit out of him during the table match. You know, put him through like 3 tables like he's done to Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan. Just beat the shit out of Cena. And then for the ambulance match, you have Ryback, you know, pretty much have the dead carcass of Cena. But Cena makes a comeback, and, you know, goes Super Cena and then, you know, wins the match. I think that would have played out better. But the match was good. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. The only thing I can complain about was the end. Like, Cena was on the top of the ambulance. Ryback came up. They pretty much went for the spot right away. I would have liked to seen them, you know, at least fight a little bit on top of the ambulance before they just, oh, F you through the ambulance, the end. It was a very just instantaneous. I would have preferred a little bit of a fight and a struggle, but other than that, it was a good match. And overall, Payback, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. Nothing to complain about. None of the matches were terrible. At worst, it was just like average. So that was Payback. Next, we got Raw. Is there anything I want to talk about? Oh, we had the the return of Christian. That was shocking to see. It's good to see Christian back on TV. I actually missed him. Like, I didn't know how much I missed him until I saw him. I'm like, wow, Christian, you know, it's been so long. Where have you been, buddy? So it's good to have him back. What else do we have? We had Daniel Bryan and Orton. They've had some good matches. Like, in these couple weeks, they had a match on Raw, they had a match on SmackDown, and then they had that Falls Count Anywhere match on Raw. And that was good. That was like a solid match. I really enjoyed this. These two have had great matches together, like on Raw and SmackDown, and it's just been awesome to watch this whole program play out. What else do we got? Oh, Cesaro has joined Zeb Coulter's militia. I don't really understand that, but you know, it's whatever. The Mark Henry retirement thing. So, they teased it. Mark Henry, he's got a huge announcement. Brought out it started with John Cena. He came out, he talked about how he's ready for his next challenger and whoever wins Money in the Bank and blah, 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 blah. And then Mark Henry comes out and, he acts like he's going to retire. He puts his boots at the top of the ring. And he's like, John, stay here. I want to talk to you and the boys in the back. And he cut a really good promo. Like, you knew something was up. I mean, you knew he could retire because, like, if Mark Henry's had a history of injuries. That's why you haven't seen him for, like, long periods of time. It's like, he's an older guy. He's, like, in his 40s, I believe. And, I think he's had knee issues and stuff and just a lot of injuries. So that's why he hasn't appeared a lot. So anyways, the whole retirement thing was really good. He acted like he was going to retire. Cena raises his hand, goes in for the world's strongest slam, screws over everybody. I thought it was a really good segment. I didn't think Mark Henry could like pull off a good segment, but he did, and that was cool to see. So yeah, that was that. I definitely recommend watching it. It was actually really good. What else do we got? Oh, and the main event was CM Punk versus Del Rio. Good match. Punk wins by countout. After the match, Lesnar comes out and attacks Punk. Apparently, the Heyman guys can't work together. But earlier on in the night, you had Punk say like, Paul, I don't want you in my match tonight. I want to do my own thing. Blah blah blah. So that's cool. Next we got NXT. Anything I want to talk about? Nothing much. The main event was the Wyatt family versus Cassius Ohno, Corey Graves, and Adrian Neville. Good match. Wyatt family wins. I can't wait for them to debut on Raw. I saw them debut. I saw them attack Kane. We'll talk more about that on the next episode of the Weekly Wrestling Review. But I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched them attacking Kane. So yeah, we'll talk more about the Wyatt family next episode. Next we got Impact. They did a lot of stuff with the Bound for Glory series, just matches back and forth. Oh, one thing I want to talk about, because it was just funny. Brooke Hogan came out for a knockout, I don't even know what the fuck they called it, a knockout evaluation, something like that. So they bring all the knockouts to the ring. You know how many knockouts there are? There's only 5. Only 5 knockouts, and they brought Eric Young as well. So, it was ODB, Gail Kim, Velvet, Mickey James, and what's her name? The referee, Taryn Terrell. So you had all 5 of them. It's like, wow, that's your knockouts division? I would hate for them to bring their tag team division, because it is just as worse. It's fucking worthless. And I just thought it was funny when they're like, alright, we're going to bring out all the knockouts. Oh, alright, all 5 of them are here, and Eric Young. So anyways, Eric Young and ODB, they vacate the titles, the TNA Knockouts tag team titles. Apparently they got rid of them. I didn't know if they were going to vacate them or maybe have a tournament or some shit. But just get rid of those tag team titles. They were never needed. And shit. That and the TV title. Just get rid of that shit. And I think... Oh, okay. Sting comes out and, he's got his whole main event mafia thing. Gonna start his family. And he ends up revealing that Kurt Angle is part of the mafia. So they have revealed, all the participants in the main event mafia. It's Angle, Joe, Magnus, and Rampage. We're going to talk about Rampage later on, because I found this funny interview he did where it just made TNA look stupid as shit and just god awful. And we're going to talk a lot about TNA next week, because they released a lot of people, and we're going to talk about some issues that they might be having in the company. So that'll be for the next episode. Lots of stuff on the next episode. So anyways, Angle, part of the main event mafia, whatever. Next we got SmackDown. Nothing really to talk about here. The main event was Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton. Good match. Bryan wins by countouts. What else we got? We got Ring of Honor Best in the World. What to say about this pay-per-view? You know, I'm a big fan of Ring of Honor, and I'm not taking anything away from this pay-per-view. The pay-per-view was good. The only problem with it was all the issues, the technical issues. And if you watch this pay-per-view live, then you probably didn't see a lot of the pay-per-view because there was a lot of issues. And we'll talk more about Ring of Honor and their pay-per-views in the news section. But this pay-per-view, the technical issues really ruined it. Like, I was watching the TV title match, and I didn't even get to see the ending because it's shit out. It was like they were kind of working towards the ending, video cutouts. Oh, Matt Taven's walking away with the title. Like, what the fuck happened? I don't know. And, you know, it was a good pay-per-view. The only issue that, like, kept it from being, like, a really good pay-per-view was the technical issues. They really put a dampering on this pay-per-view, really ruined it. But other than that, it was a good pay-per-view. Really solid wrestling, good matches all around, nothing terrible. So let's quickly go through it. We started out with BJ Whitmer versus Mike Bennett. Pretty good match. BJ wins, just your standard opener. Next, you got American Wolves versus ACH and Tadarius Thomas. This was a good tag team match. Really enjoyed watching this. They worked a fast-paced action, and they just had some good chemistry in the ring. Love watching ACH. He's one of my favorite guys on Ring of Honor to watch. And you know, the American Wolves, they're a solid tag team. They can have good tag team matches with anybody. So that was that. Good match. American Wolves win. Next, we got Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Good match. Cole wins by countouts. They're kind of trying to turn Adam Cole heel. I don't know if he's going to be joining Scum. I don't know, but he definitely will be turning heel by the looks of it. There has been a lot of rumors that he might be joining WWE or WWE is interested in him. And with WWE signing a lot of independent guys, you know, they recently signed Sami Callihan. You know, they signed El Generico. They signed, who else did they sign? I don't remember, but they're starting to sign like a lot of these independent guys that have big names for themselves and have, you know, built up a reputation for like having good matches and stuff. You know, I could definitely see Adam Cole going, especially with the direction that like WWE is going in, where it seems like, you know, they like to call themselves sports entertainments, but it kind of seems like they're putting a focus on the wrestling. Like, if you watch Raw, they have some longer matches and they have some good matches. So, yeah, I'd definitely like to see a guy like Adam Cole. I think he could do... Actually, I don't know about that. I don't know if he could do good things because there's like guys that WWE has had and they just have done terrible with. So, I don't know about that. Next, we got Michael Elgin versus Tommaso Ciampa, two of Ring of Honor's toughest guys in one match. They had a good match, good back and forth match. They beat the shit out of each other, did some cool stuff, and Michael Elgin ended up walking away with that victory. Kind of surprised. I thought Tommaso Ciampa would have won the match since he just made his comeback. So, you know, would have given him a bigger rub. You know, maybe there might be a rubber match in the future. We'll have to wait and see. Next, we got Jimmy Jacobs, Matt Taven, Jay Lethal TV title match. Three-way for the TV title. It was a pretty good match. Matt Taven wins. You know, it was nothing terrible. They worked a nice, fast-paced style. Some good action. I did not get to see the ending. But, yeah, I wasn't really liking where the ending was going with all the interference of the Hoopla Hotties. And, you know, I just thought it took away from the ending. So, yeah, it was just a pretty good match. Matt Taven wins. Next, we got Scum versus Coleman and Alexander versus Red Dragon in a three-way for the tag team titles. Pretty good match. Red Dragon wins. This kind of just ended. Like, it was a 7-minute match. It seemed like it had the potential to be so much more, and then it just kind of ended. I didn't really like that. I would have liked to seen them, you know, go like 15 minutes. Like, it had a potential to be like really good, and they just ended it. So I was kind of shocked about that, but it was pretty good for what it was. Next, we got Matt Hardy versus Kevin Steen in a no DQ match. This was a good match. I really enjoyed watching this. They had a fun, just hardcore match. Matt Hardy won after all the interference from Scum, allowing Matt Hardy to pick up the victory. And the main event, brother versus brother, Jay Briscoe versus Mark Briscoe, world title match. Good match. They beat the fuck out of each other. You know, they're brothers. They can do that. One thing I want to talk about was the Ring of Honor episode going into uh, this pay-per-view. They showcase for a whole episode of Ring of Honor. They did a showcase of the brothers, of Mark and Jay. You know, they show where they grew up. They talked about the wrestling, talked about their family, living on a farm, doing all this kind of stuff, working their way up from being, you know, kids to pro wrestling stars. I thought it was a really interesting show, like what they did to showcase both of the brothers, and it really did add to the match. I really enjoyed that episode of Ring of Honor. I think it added a lot. So, you know, Ring of Honor Best in the World, it was a good pay-per-view, scorned by all the technical issues. I do recommend checking it out. There was some good stuff, but beware. There is a lot of spots where it's like, oh, they're fighting on the outside. Oh, they're magically in the ring now. So, just be warned. What else do we got? So that was the Best in the World. Next we got Raw from June 24th. What do we got? What do I want to talk about? The main event was Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan in I think it was a Street Fighter or Falls Count Anywhere match. Nonetheless, they had a good match. Bryan wins. One thing I want to talk about is like I was talking about earlier during Payback, how WWE was going in one direction and then they just kind of seemed like to go in the other. What I was referring to was the world title situation, because if you watch the Raw and the Smackdown, it seemed like they were building towards like a Ziggler, Jericho, Del Rio three-way at Money in the Bank, and that's not the case. It seemed like they were going with that, and then they took a right turn, and then instead of putting Jericho in that match, or maybe even in the Money in the Bank, they did a little backstage segment where now he's gonna face Ryback at Money in the Bank. It made no sense. I would have rather seen him in that world title match, or even a Money in the Bank. I think Ryback should be in the Money in the Bank, but whatever. They're gonna have a one-on-one match at Money in the Bank, which it's probably gonna be a good match. I just think there's so many better things they could have done with that. So, good match. Main event: Randy Orton, Bryan, street fight, solid. Daniel Bryan walking out with the victory. They're fucking making Daniel Bryan look like $1 million. Daniel Bryan has he has opened and closed a lot of the shows. He starts Raw, he starts SmackDown, and he's usually the last thing on the show. So they have a lot invested in Daniel Bryan. I know they recently announced that it's going to be him and John Cena for the WWE title at SummerSlam. I'm really looking forward to that because, I don't know, it should be an interesting thing, an interesting match. It's definitely an interesting situation because they're both dating the Bella twins, so they're if one gets married, they're kind of brother-in-laws. So it's just a weird predicament for both of them, and to watch them wrestle at SummerSlam, it should be a good match. I'm really looking forward to it. And will Daniel Bryan end up taking that victory? I don't fucking know. We'll talk more about it closer to SummerSlam or even Money in the Bank. So yeah, that was that. Next we got NXT. They continued doing the NXT Divas title tournament to crown a new champion. That's going all right. I think we all know that the finals are going to be Summer Rae and Paige. At least I think so. Paige is definitely making it to the finals, if not winning the whole thing. And it's probably going to be Summer Rae meeting her there. So, what else do we got? We had the return of Leo Kruger. Bo Dallas, he had a match with Mickey Keegan. It was okay. Bo wins. After the match, Leo Kruger kind of approaches Bo Dallas, touches his title, and they just kind of had a standstill. So Leo Kruger, Bo Dallas, the next main event title situation thing. I would really like to see Cassius Ohno, Bo Dallas. I think they actually started with that when they started doing the new NXT. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. No, was it? No, it was Richie Steamboat. Whatever happened to that guy? I don't fucking know. But yeah, I'd love to see Cassius Ohno, Bo Dallas for the NXT title. That's just me though. But they have Cassius Ohno teaming with Corey Graves, which, it's kind of like two #1 contenders for the world title, kind of teaming up. I don't know, but they have an NXT tag team title match against the Wyatt family. I don't know when that's supposed to happen, but that should be a good match. So that was NXT. Next we got Impact. Oh, this was the episode with the whole suicide thing. And it's like, oh, that's not suicide, this is suicide. Who's under the mask? Dun dun dun. So anyways, that match happened. Suicide, Chris Sabin, Kenny King for the X Division title. Pretty good match. Suicide wins and is the new X Division champion. After the match, Hogan brings out TJ Perkins and says TJ is suicide, and someone attacked him and stole his suits. Next, we got the newest Gut Check. Who gives a fuck, since they're probably going to both be released if either one gets picked up. Anyways, it was Ryan Howe versus Adam... shit, I forgot to pronounce his last name. O'Reiner? I think that's how you pronounce it. A.K.A. the Big O. If you used to watch Zack Ryder's True Z-Ice Hollywood story thing, the Big O, he had a match in Gut Check. It was okay. All I'm going to say is if TNA does sign the Big O, you got to put him with Robbie E. You got to. They're both similar. Got the, Gym Tan laundry thing. I think it'd be perfect. Next we got... What else? Oh, there was a funny backstage segment with Bully Ray. Because, he's trying to figure out who's under the suicide mask. Because he thinks it's the main event Mafia fucking with them. And blah, blah, blah. And he storms in the locker room with, who's in there? Jesse Goddard, Robbie E., and Chavo. And it was just funny, just the interactions between the two. Like, Bully Ray comes in, do you know who's under the suicide mask? And Chavo's like, this is hilarious. Chavo's like, what? And Bully Ray's like, I'm speaking English, Chavo, don't you understand me? I was just cracking up laughing just the way he said it. Bully Ray's awesome. And then when he was walking out, because they wouldn't give him any answers, he was like, hey, Jesse, cut out the carps. And that was funny. I just thought it was a little funny backstage segment. What else? We had Gunner and James Storm come out. They were interrupted by Jesse and Robbie E., who are apparently the new tag team. I would have liked to see Joey Ryan with these three, but Joey Ryan got released, so whatever. Is this gonna, god damn it, I fucking hate TNA with this, because, they don't have any tag teams. All the tag teams that are happening, they just get thrown together. Bobby Roode and Aries, thrown together. Well, they kind of had a feud, and then, whatever. But they were kind of thrown together. James Storm and Gunner, thrown together. Robbie E. and Jesse, thrown together. They just got to stop throwing together tag teams. Build upon your tag teams. Stop splitting them up. What's Rob Terry doing now? Fucking nothing. Why did you break up him and Robbie E.? I don't fucking know. You should have kept them together. They were a good-ass... I don't want to say good-ass tag team. But, they had the chemistry there. And they worked well with each other. So, I don't know why they brought them out. But I think, in the long run, Jesse and Robbie E. are going to be better. Just working together and stuff. And, yeah, it should be interesting. Are they the future TNA Tag Team Champions? No fucking idea. What else do we got? Oh, to end the show out, we had Hulk Hogan come out, call Suicide. Whatever Suicide comes out. Reveals that it's Austin Aries. He said, I won the title once. I'm going to do it again. And, yeah, I know they just had the X Division pay-per-view Destination X thing. Chris Sabin won the world title. We'll talk more about that on the next show. A lot of stuff for the next show. You definitely want to check it out. It's going to be good. What else? Next we got Smackdown. Nothing really to talk about. You had Sheamus versus Sando in a street fight. Good match to start off the show. The main event was Christian and the Usos taking on the Shield in a six-man tag. This was a pretty good six-man tag. It was short, but it got the job done, and I enjoyed it. Christian and the Usos won. And to end the show, we had Del Rio come out for a fiesta. He brags about beating up Ziggler. Ziggler comes out, Del Rio. This is where I'm like, wow, Ziggler is actually a good babyface. Just watching that, so that was cool. So that is it for the reviews. We're actually going to jump to a few wrestling news things that I want to talk about. First, Matt Striker no longer with WWE. His contract ran out. They didn't want to renew it. That sucks. I thought Matt Striker was a good commentator. I really enjoyed like his references to like Japan wrestling, just old wrestling. And he did an interview with something, and they talked about he talked about a little thing that he had with Jerry Lawler, and he's like, the fans are young, the fans are kids, they don't care about who was the NWA champion in the 80s. They care about, Ryback and John Cena and, all these guys. So I definitely understood from that perspective, like, okay, maybe that's not the audience that, Matt Striker can cater to. But I definitely thought he was a solid announcer. He was definitely a good backstage interviewer, good beating boxing bag. And I don't know. I think he would actually fit in well in ECW. I'm pretty sure him and Taz used to do commentary on ECW, if I remember correctly. Probably not though, but I think they did. And I don't know. Because like him and Tenay are kind of like very similar in their announcing. Not like the way they speak, but the way that they kind of handle themselves. So, they just got rid of Tom Kennelly. Would it be good to bring in Matt Striker? To be honest, I think so. I think it's worth a try. Bringing Matt Striker as a third man, I think he would add a lot to the announce table. That's just my opinion, though. Next, so earlier on, we talked about Ring of Honor and their pay-per-views and how it messed up really bad. And Ring of Honor just doesn't have a good history, a good track record of putting on good pay-per-views. Like, the pay-per-views are good, but it's not doesn't run smooth. There's always issues. And Ring of Honor has announced that they are no longer going to be doing pay-per-views. Nothing's going to be live. If anything, you'll get to watch it taped. Like they used to do in 2007, I believe. They used to do pay-per-views and then tape them and then air them a couple weeks later. So I don't expect it to be a couple weeks later. They might record it on a Friday and have it go live on a Sunday night or something. So that's unfortunate that they always have these issues. They switch from Go Fight Live to their own website, and they thought that Go Fight Live was the issue. Turns out it wasn't. I don't know if it's something on Ring of Honor's end or whatever, but I don't know. So it sucks they have to get rid of the pay-per-views, but at the same time, it's kind of bringing down your product by ruining these pay-per-views that are people are spending money on, but they can't watch it because it's fucking up, and they're always like, oh, you're sorry about the pay-per-view messing up, you can watch it for free on our website if you paid. So I think it's kind of a step back, but it's also a step in the right direction. You don't want to keep putting out subpar shit. You want to put out good stuff. So I think it's good, but it sucks they're gonna have to stop doing live pay-per-views. So that's a shame. What else? WWE officially has released some 2K14 footage. They released a trailer. Overall, the trailer didn't look anything amazing. It looked a lot like WWE 13 with a couple new features, like Ryback having two opponents on his shoulders. You saw Macho Man in the trailer, which is cool. There's recently announced that the Ultimate Warrior is going to be a pre-order thing, so that's cool as well. I'm kind of interested, in WWE 14. WWE 13 was good with the whole Attitude Era stuff and the Revolution, and I really enjoyed that. And I don't know what direction they're going to take WWE 14 in. Um, so I don't know. I'm kind of worried. I'm kind of not. It should be good, but I don't know if it's going to top WWE 13 story mode wise, because I think that was like by far one of the best story modes. You got to relive some of the classic matches, classic moments, and I think WWE 2K14 is just going to bring in some bland shit where you're wrestler A and you got to make your way to the top and go to WrestleMania and blah 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 blah. And when we're given such good stuff on WWE 13, we don't want to go back to the subpar shit of, oh, work your way up, road to WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see around SummerSlam. That's usually when they release the information. So, August, expect to see a lot of WWE 2K14 announcements regarding roster, matches, all that good stuff. Next, it is being reported that the Briscoes are gone from Ring of Honor. And this is actually very shocking news. Apparently, the two parties couldn't work out a new contract deal. We have Jay Briscoe, who is currently the Ring of Honor World Champion, and he pretty much has to throw away the title. And I think it's kind of disrespectful. Like, I don't know the behind the scenes, but it's like the Briscoes have been there from pretty much the beginning, and to kind of, just vacate the title instead of, like, losing the title to, like, an up-and-coming guy like Michael Elgin. It looks pretty terrible. I don't know if there's any backstage heat between Ring of Honor and the Briscoes. For a while now, WWE hasn't been interested in the Briscoes. There's been countless rumors of, like, the Briscoes going in for tryouts and all that stuff, so maybe they're finally going to be making their WWE debut, or at least going to NXT, but it should be interesting to see them on WWE. I'm really looking forward to it, and I don't know, nothing's been official, but that's kind of, where else are they going to go? So definitely not TNA. They're just hiring and firing, so that'd be terrible. But yeah, so apparently the title's been vacated, and I don't know what's going to happen with the Briscoes. Apparently they did a little storyline on their weekly shows, so I'll watch that, and then we can talk more about it on the next episode. And last but not least, the funny interview with Rampage Jackson that I read that just made me laugh at TNA because, like, what? Look, you're a bunch of idiots still. Was he said that he doesn't think he can wrestle and fight simultaneously. So I'm reading the quote. He says, "I've always wanted to be a pro wrestler since I was a kid, but now that I'm older and I have had a lot of injuries, people don't understand that takes a toll. That toll wrestling takes on your body." He says, "I don't think I can do that now while I'm fighting, but when I retire from fighting and go full time into pro wrestling, then I think I can go and get more extensive with my style and my moves." So what he's saying is, fighting is my priority right now, but when I'm done fighting, TNA, I'm coming. So what did TNA do? They just signed him to a big fucking contract. They're giving him free money. I mean, he does make appearances on TNA. He joined the Mafia or whatever. But he pretty much says, I'm going to do this fighting stuff. When I decide I don't want to do it anymore, I'll use wrestling as my fallback. So TNA just looks like a bunch of fucking retards for signing him and just wasting money. They probably signed him to $1 billion contract. Probably not that ridiculous, but give him a shit ton of money. He's really not adding anything to the TNA product. Now they're releasing guys like Doc, and Doc, I don't know how they're going to explain it on TNA, but I know he was like recently in the middle of a storyline with Mr. Kennedy or Mr. Anderson, so like for them to just kind of drop that and, oh, Doc's not there anymore, oh, this person's not there anymore, it looks fucking terrible on the company. And to sign this guy just probably such a high value dollar contract, and pretty much you're not going to get your money's worth until he wants to, and he's done with fucking MMA. So TNA just looks like a bunch of idiots. Again, like I said, next episode we're going to talk more about their financial woes with them releasing a bunch of talent. Last week, not last week, but the last time they released a bunch of guys from the Gut Check: Christian York, Alex Silva, Sam Shaw, all those guys. And this time they released Doc, Matt Morgan, Madison Rain, Tara. So we're going to talk about that. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry for the long episode, and we are getting our stuff back on track. Expect the next episode. I'm gonna say Monday. Give me enough time to watch this stuff and provide content to the channel. Lots of good stuff coming. I just started my Lego Batman 2 Let's Play, my TNA Impact Wrestling Let's Play. Those are both going well, both getting well received by you guys. So I want to thank you guys for the support. Hope you guys are enjoying all the content that's going on the channel. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Until then, guys, peace out. Excuse me, I burped right there. Peace out.